というわけでどうもメトロピーです。今回はですね、学校でやったプレゼンテーションを録音してきたので、その学校の様子をどんな感じなのかなって気になってる方もいると思うので、ここで流したいと思うのでゆっくりしていってください。内容は英語になってしまうんですけど、多分わかると思います。ではでは。
Just imagine a kid in front of the TV, pressing the button as the blue light glows, inserting the disc and setting the remote. That kid was me. What is Nintendo for you? What memories do you have with Nintendo? I'm sure most of us have some experience with Nintendo and their products in some part of our childhood, or maybe for some of us it created our childhood. A quick show of hands, who has a Switch? It's fine, if share it's fine, a lot, right? Do you know how many have been sold since its debut? Guess.
One.
Okay, close enough. Wait, sorry. Yeah, close enough. It's 143 million units sold. So basically, one Japanese person has a Switch at their home, basically, and maybe plus Taiwan, I guess. That's how much Switch has been sold. This is the best-selling home console, surpassing the Wii. Did anyone have a Wii? No? Yeah? Which is 160 million units sold, and the DS almost to 140 million units sold. Yeah. So from this data alone, we are very sure that Nintendo is very successful. But why are they so successful? I feel like this is a sense of Nintendo-ness. Like Nintendo has its own unique sense, right? But today I would like to go in deeper in saying what makes Nintendo unique from its development as a company and see its corporate philosophy. So firstly, Nintendo was founded back in 1889 in Kyoto, and their first product was Hanafuda cards, which are basically Japanese traditional playing cards. Most of them were used illegally for gambling. In 1902, they used the first trump cards, playing cards, and they were also the first one to make it in plastic for more durability in the world. But before I move on, there's 4 key players in Nintendo's history that shaped Nintendo that we know today. And the first person, and this is Nintendo's DNA. It's on their website. It states, give me a sec. So the first one is uniqueness. The second one is flexibility. The third one is integrity, kind of like being responsible. And anyways, the first person is Hiroshi Yamauchi, which is the third president of Nintendo from post-war Japan, and he led the company in post-war Japan and left at Nintendo the challenger mindset, or being a challenger. So he knew from the very beginning that Nintendo won't survive in the 20th century after the war. So he experimented and diversified into different fields. For example, this is a robot vacuum cleaner from 1970, but it's basically an RC car inside. It sucked at its job, but that's the thing they did. They also did N and B blocks, which are basically copies of Lego, and they went to court because of it, and they won somehow. So that's another thing. Also, there's rumors that they also did a love hotel back in the 70s. So you can tell that Nintendo was diversifying a lot. The second person is Gunpei Yokoi. He was an engineer at Nintendo and also called as the father of mobile gaming. We get to there later. He left Nintendo this thinking called lateral thinking of withered technology, kareta gijutsu no suihei shiko. And in order to understand this, we have to divide into 2 parts. So the withered technology, or kareta gijutsu, means technology that has matured enough that it's cheap to produce and well understood, while the second part, lateral thinking, suihei shiko, which means it's like a radical or new way of using those technologies, and together we could kind of see where this goes. So one example of this, 2 men's philosophy coming together is this thing called Ultra Handle. Do you know this? It's like those toys where you have a hole and it moves the arms and goes wing. Yeah, that. Nintendo made this in the 1960s or 70s. So Gunpei Yokoi was bored of his work at the factory, and he used leftover plastic and available parts to make this toy. And luckily or unluckily, Yamauchi, the president, came visit the factory, and he found this. And rather than scolding him, he said one thing: make this in product in less than 3 months before Christmas season. So you can tell that Yamauchi's risk-taker management, challenging skills, and Gunpei Yokoi's creativity came together here. and the third person, I think most of if you're gamers, you probably know him, is Miyamoto Shigeru, who's the father of Zelda and Mario. What he left at Nintendo is integrity and reflectiveness. So there's this famous story. I don't think most people know this. This dude is called Popeye. He was a famous character in the late 70s, and Nintendo made an arcade game for him. But for some reason, they went into like mismanagement and so forth, and the copyright reasons, they need to make a new character. So they made Mario, and they used elements of Popeye and what makes him a likable person. So that's where Mario was born. And briefly going to some video game stuff. The Color TV game was their first game console from 1977, and Mario Bros. The arcade was released in 1983. And by here we could tell that Nintendo's philosophy is being risk takers, use mature technologies, and reflect what makes good products good. And from here I'm just going to jump to major console releases they had. So the first one is the family computer, or if you're from the States, the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES. Yeah, and the theme for this console is the console for the family. The next one is the Super Family Computer, very creative name. It's just a more powerful system, but that's the theme of that console. And the Game Boy is one of the first digital personal devices, so it's the first personal individual console. It's where Pokemon debuted, by the way. And the Nintendo 64 is one of the first deep game consoles that had 3D, so it's the first portal to the Nintendo world. And the Wii, again, is for the masses and pure instinct. You move the remote and control characters, right? So it's based on instinct. So before the Nintendo Switch came, do you know what console came before the Switch? Wii U, yeah, that's the answer. The Wii U, it was a failure. It only sold 13.56 million units sold. Compared to the Wii, that's like 1/10. Yeah, so most analysts think it's a failure. And why was it a failure? So it didn't provide anything new. I mean, I feel like I'm gonna get scolded by a Nintendo employee. But the unique feature of this was the gamepad, which you could take away and play it without the TV on, but you can't take it outside because you need the main disc player thing. So it's not really portable, so there's nothing provided. And the naming is like Wii U, like YU, right? So like there's nothing new to provide. So the sense of lateral thinking and wider technology wasn't really there in this console. So yeah, and one problem with Nintendo is that unlike iPhones, where there's like a spec upgrade, right? Nothing changed, but it gets progressively better and better. Nintendo can't do that because if you make a new Switch, no one's gonna buy that new Switch. There has to be something unique about that. So they just can't do a spec upgrade unlike Apple and some other technology companies. So Wii U was more advanced than the Wii, so you could see that advance there, but they didn't provide anything new. So the last person, I said there's 4 people, right? The last person is Iwata Sato, who was the 4th president of Nintendo up to 2015. He died really young though. He left at Nintendo this flexibility mindset. So he knew that the Wii U was basically a home console that was partially portable, but wasn't really. But he switched it around, making a Switch a handheld console into a home console. So you get where it comes from now, right? So, and he also used the Nintendo IPs like Mario and Zelda more flexibly, so he ventured out to new things, like, Super Mario Land in Universal Studios, and we'll come to see that fruition again. Because of this, the Switch sold 143 million units, so it became a success. Although he passed away a year before it got released, it was like age 55, so that's sad. And that flexibility of IPs now became to theme parks in Universal Studios Japan and the US. And another one is a Nintendo Museum that opened, I think, a month ago. So we could see Nintendo's expanding into new ventures. So what's next for Nintendo is the new question, I think. I think Nintendo will further expand into the entertainment sphere. So basically think of Disney. That's Nintendo. So anywhere without knowing games, you tell where's Nintendo characters there. So again, we could always see the first implementation of this with the Mario movie, right? Quick show of events, who saw the Mario movie, right? Another one is Alarmo. Have you guys seen this? It's like new weird alarm clock that Nintendo just sold. And it's not a normal alarm clock. You wake up with Nintendo music, and when you move, it makes the sound louder. And if you get out the bed, it cheers you. It's such a Nintendo product, right? So yeah, you could tell that they're invading into your private lives, Nintendo characters. And I guess, the most important part is what's the new Switch, right? So I'm just calling it the Super Switch because Nintendo won't do a Switch 2, I guess. I feel like they're going to integrate the Switch into the real world. So like you have a smartphone app where like you walk a given amount of time and that gets feedback into a game. You could buy coins for, let's say, Animal Crossing or something. So I feel like that integration would be there from this point on. Yeah, so, and you can, I guess, maybe take pictures like on SNS and how much exercise is there. I feel like that's the image of a new Switch. And that's pretty much it. Thank you.